Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hello, listeners. I am so excited for today's podcast with Jen Hamilton. Jen, please tell the world who you are and a little bit of your story.
Well, thank you so much, Carl, for inviting me. I feel honored to be here. My name is Jen Hamilton. I am the CEO of Oxygen Yoga and Fitness. Proud to say that we are 97 locations strong across Canada, and we are entering into the States. We actually are in the works of our very first location there in Calabasas, California. So we are pretty pumped as a company, as an individual. I'm thrilled and I'm honored to be here and share my story, and hopefully I could inspire somebody and maybe give them some positive feedback, positive advice on what to do and how to follow your passion and, your dream and make it a reality.
I love that. Well, Jen, thank you so much and appreciate your positive energy in this call. Congratulations on entering into the States and another country to scratch off the list. You don't become an overnight sensation. So talk to me a little bit about this journey that's gotten you to where you were prior to Oxygen and now being the CEO of a international fitness brand.
My passion is fitness and just creating a space for people to be able to go and channel their energy in a positive way through physical fitness. And I previously had a business and it was called Cardio Core Bootcamp. And I loved it. Got to be really creative with workouts, using playgrounds, using parks to facilitate a workout. The one thing that I did learn, though, is anything in the fitness industry really has a 7-year shelf life. If you think about Taibo, kickboxing, step classes, all of those, they've got a limitation. And one thing I learned with Cardio Core Bootcamp, by attaching the term bootcamp to my name, gave me limitations, right, on how to grow and how to continue. There's a window. So in having my next venture, I learned from that. And yoga, been around for thousands of years. And fitness, adding that to our title, gave me the ability to introduce new trends when they come in and old trends to drop them when they're not so hot. And the beautiful thing about Oxygen is it's different because it's done in an infrared environment. So that environment is a place that we can control the classes and what's transpiring within the studio. And that would be my one tip for anybody if they're starting a fitness business is give yourself the ability to grow. Don't put a limitation on yourself by only specifically targeting one module or one type of fitness activity.
And based on your experience, that I assume is through branding and through your name.
Well, through branding. And I mean, branding, there's so many layers to branding, right? And it's affiliating yourself with other like-minded businesses that are going to help build and support your brand. And this is one thing that, I've always done is I network. I love networking because the more the merrier. And you have the ability to learn from other people and layer that business with different avenues and introducing yourself to different demographics that you can work cohesively with.
Of course. And I think grassroots is an imperative part to build your business because there's nothing better than a word of mouth lead or a referral that when we look to digital.
I agree. 63% of our business is generated from referrals. So in saying that, after we've done analytics on how are we getting our customer, how are those people coming through the door? So it was us taking a step back after we did the analysis on that and really rewarding our members for spreading the word. And we have a wonderful referral program that we've introduced actually just within this past year on a much more sophisticated level. So,
Awesome.
I mean, during COVID, as terrible as it was for this industry and many others, and my heart goes out to everybody who is affected by it. But we chose as a company to revisit and refocus and do some restructuring on areas that we needed, development and growth and improvement. So that was one of the areas that we did focus on primarily, is how can we do something better to reward our member?
Amazing. And the reason being is, look at the outcome. You now have 63% of your clients coming from referrals.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Something that I've learned consistently at Tony Robbins is what's not measured is not improved. And sometimes we get these statistics or get these reports from our teams and we look at them and it's like, okay, well, we didn't lose any money, so great, but we're not really looking into the avenues that are best invested.
Exactly. And, and that's funny that you say that about losing money. Like, we always focus on the negative rather than the positive. And it's that love and fear, right? And love and fear are derived from the exact same energy. It's just how you choose to regroup and focus on not being fearful of doing something that you love, right? And taking that step. I think it's so important for people just to follow that passion and create a path for themselves and allow themselves to fall down, because every time you fail, you get to learn from it and you get to do it better the next time. So, for those people like, I can't, I'm scared. Good. I'm glad you're scared because you got the emotion behind it, but jump in and go for it, because, nobody's going to push you over that edge other than yourself.
Amen. I agree.
Amen.
I agree. Jen, talk to me about, obviously you have a massive team behind you, from store level operators to managers to trainers to you guys on the corporate side. What have been some lessons or stories that you don't mind sharing? The juicier, the better.
The juicier, the better. Okay.
But that are constantly reminded on maybe a daily, weekly, hourly basis that we've learned that lesson before, or don't let yourself learn it again. Because something that you said a minute ago is, we're constantly given opportunities to learn from the, maybe mistakes or things that we could have done better, but how many people actually do learn from it?
And I think that's the thing, is being vulnerable, right? And allowing yourself to admit that, that didn't really work. So maybe we need to revisit, and asking for help. I mean, that's one thing I think as an entrepreneur, and it's very important as an entrepreneur to understand your business and wear all of those hats. But understand, you're not always good. You don't always look great in every single hat that you put on. Sometimes the cowboy hat just doesn't fit, or the baseball cap looks a little too big, so you got to figure out which hat actually looks best on you and you can wear it well and stay in your lane. And that's one thing that I've really, really learned is, not to micromanage, right? Just to allow and honor and take on people who are experts at what they do, and give them the space, and, have that constant open dialogue. Ask the questions. Why did you do that? Explain, because sometimes we assume things. And I mean, when you break up the word assume, what is it? You make an ass out of you and me.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
You haven't? Okay. Well, I'll let you use it.
Thank you for the permission. Yeah, I mean, business 101, especially as you start to scale and can afford talented people, is to invest that in your team. Those key team members are super imperative to your growth.
For sure. I know you hit on something, is sometimes as business owners, we see that candy at the end of the tunnel there, and you want to run and get to it as quick as possible. Slowing down the process is much more effective. And I've learned, because I've actually had to press pause on 3 different occasions with the business, because we were growing too quickly. And I didn't have the infrastructure and the support systems in place to support the franchisees. And the franchisees, those are my primary customers. And then it trickles down. So like the hierarchy of everything is just really understanding, where you're at and just setting a timeline that's reasonable and reflecting on that timeline and continuously doing that to enable yourself to grow properly and effectively. So, I mean, when I had to turn away franchise opportunities, as much as that was painful, it was a beautiful thing because my franchisees saw that I was putting their needs first. Yep. And they had already invested with the company as opposed to somebody who hadn't invested. So just really prioritizing and understanding your role as a franchisor, as a franchisee, as a manager, whatever that may be, is really understanding your job description, deliverables, and being accountable.
Yeah. And going back to it, it's a big difference when you own your own studio or you've gotten your first franchisee to buy into you as a franchisor. And you now went from owner, operator, manager, janitor, and everything into, okay, now I got to teach somebody to do the whole thing that I did and then train their staff. So your processes are consistently being challenged and optimized when you start growing at that pace. Think about how challenging it was when your first franchisee came on board, and then the fifth one, and then the 10th, and then the 50th. Like, these are all amazing milestones, and congratulations to you. I'm excited to celebrate 100 with you. It's amazing. And when we don't look at those processes, and some franchisors that I work with, they're doing the same thing that they were when they were just a one-man show. And I'm like, does that make sense? But
well, exactly. What is it? You got to work at your business, not always work in your business, right?
Yeah.
And just, I think having the ability to, well, for example, for myself, I mean, I start my day off, I go to a class every morning. I love it. I go there for myself, although I do videos and what have you when I'm there. But I personally love just going for me. I mean, this morning, for example, I was doing a yoga class, and throughout the class, I actually was telling myself how grateful I was, to myself. I was self-talking. I started crying during class, and my heart right now feels so full because I think a lot of people lose sight on gratitude and being grateful for the simple things. I mean, we've got 2 feet on the ground, you're breathing the air and you're surrounding yourself with, positive people who are just creating this beautiful space for themselves. And that word gratitude, I think, sometimes gets lost, and we need to remind ourselves of the the simple things and being grateful, right? And and the ironic thing about it, so I don't know if it was like synergy or just energy, but at the end of class, the instructor, she started talking about, what are you grateful for? And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, did she hear what I was thinking? And at the end of class, I had to thank her, and I started crying to her. And I just said, that was so beautiful. Another 2 members heard, and they came into the conversation, then they're crying too, but they were all like positive tears, and just, I think, just creates a good energy for everyone, just, being grateful.
Love it. And don't start your day off by gluing yourself to your cell phone for 20 minutes and catching up with your news feed. Be thankful
exactly
for the opportunity to start today.
First step, put your feet on the ground and make your bed. That is your first accomplishment, right? For those people, and I'm just saying, don't get on your phone and start reading your messages. Get up, make your bed, brush your teeth, wash your face, then get on your phone.
That's hilarious. But start your day off with gratitude. Every day is a gift. I agree.
That's right. That's right.
Then, go ahead, please.
No, I was just saying, you were asking about infrastructure and what have you, and understanding your role. And I mean, my role as a franchisor, I started off here in British Columbia, Canada, and Maple Ridge specifically. And and it was funny because I had my previous business. I did franchise. I grew that to 59 locations. And I actually told myself that I wouldn't franchise again. Nope.
You say that like it's no big deal.
Well, no, because I truly, when I had the opportunity to purchased this yoga studio. At the time, I was actually flipping houses, like renovating. And I think I like to see change, whether it's in, people, houses and whatever. Anyways, I like seeing change. I think it creates positivity. That's right. That's right. So long story short, I yoga studio, and my idea behind it was introducing yoga and fitness together. So doing a fusion of both, although, still focusing on yoga, focusing on fitness, and fusing the two ideas together. One, creating the opportunity to serve a larger demographic and to create more diversity within the program. People in fitness, what happens when they get bored? They quit, right? So having the ability to offer a variety of classes in that beautiful space that we have, the infrared, and just creating a really diverse platform really offered itself to many people. And fast forward after, I start my one location, which I professed it was going to remain a one location. I'm just going to be my own location in my own community and rah, rah, rah. And I was teaching a class, and I was literally walking down the middle of the class, and somebody was lying there in Shavasana, actually my very first franchisee, Lori. And she said, I want one. I looked at her. I said, you want one what? She's like, I want a location. And it wasn't about for me. It wasn't about money. I just got the opportunity to have the ability to share something, to share something really special with somebody else who had a genuine invested interest in what we were doing. So she says, well, I'm going to start it in Mission, which was like the neighboring community. I said, no. I said, you start in Langley, you take care of the people over on that side of the water. I'll take care of the people on this side of the water, and we'll go from there. Well, no sooner did that happen, 3 weeks later, another person interested in the franchise. And then the ball started rolling. So within 8 months, I think I had 9 locations sold. And that's when I had to press pause, right? And then did some restructuring and redevelopment on our systems and processes. And then I put opportunities back on the table. And then it was actually kind of funny because I hired somebody on to do my role, to onboard people for franchise opportunities.
How'd that go?
And well, see, as lovely as it was, because we were selling franchises like this, I don't know. And this is one thing, this is the ugly part, and it's no disregard to the person who was representing us on that platform. Although it wasn't really authentic, because I wasn't bringing on people who were an extension of myself, so I don't know that some of those people had the same core values as I had. In saying that, some of these people who were brought on by this other representative are no longer with the company, and it's all good. We just brought on people who aligned more with myself and my thought processes. And then as we started to grow again, I had opportunities in other provinces. Well, I was a single mom, 3 kids, and me jumping province to province wasn't really realistic. So how could I do this? How could I create
the cloning machine?
Well, and this is where my master franchise opportunity came into play. So I wanted somebody to act and be as I was in different regions. And I created a master franchise opportunity. And my first one was Carrie over in Alberta, and love her to death. We were talking on the phone yesterday.
Shout out to you, Carrie.
Yeah, go Carrie. And anyhow, it was amazing because she had an opportunity to grow the business just as I was growing the business. We have a 70-30 split on revenues back to that master franchise opportunity. Therefore, they've got incentive on growing that, that territory, that region, and having a really invested interest within the organization. And
Amazing.
now we've got master franchisees all across the country, coast to coast. So it's great. Although we do have an opportunity in Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick and Quebec, for just a shout out for anybody who's interested. And the States is wide open.
And how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can go online at oxygenoyogafitness.com and go on franchise opportunities, and we will set up a call and just get to know you, and then we go through the due diligence process. So
Amazing.
it's fun.
Cool. Shout out.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. So Jen, talk to me about some stories that you're constantly reminded of that are being brought up in day-to-day or weekly things, like lessons that you learned that maybe 10 years ago you were like, if I knew this now, what I knew then, life change.
Well, I really think, okay, so I'm a person who is a big communicator. I want everybody's opinion. I ask questions. Sometimes having too many cooks in the kitchen creates a real difficult time when you're trying to come up with a final decision. So I think in the way that you address getting people's feedback is very important. You know, we used to sit down with my franchisees that I had at my kitchen table and have, these brainstorming sessions and what have you, which was integral for the success of the company. But as you grow and as you have more people underneath your umbrella, you can't sit around your kitchen table and have these powwow, open discussions. You've got to have it in a very organized format. And I really feel getting answers, surveys are great. Bringing people together collectively on, Zoom calls. Also, I think during COVID, we all got really great at Zoom and having these meetings like we're having right now. But there's something to be said about being face to face with people and having, that camaraderie of being together. So, I mean, before COVID, we would have quarterly meetings where everybody would get together and there's hugging and reminiscing. And, so I think having that fine balance, I think one thing that I can say is positive from COVID is the ability to communicate more so like this, where we're having these conversations collectively and just doing it more frequently. So that's a positive. And this is something that we've taken back with our team, and we have our monthly meetings, although, and I don't want to keep bringing up COVID, but during COVID, during that time, there was a lot of people who were afraid. They were living in fear, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, and especially within this industry. So we were having weekly meetings, on Zoom, and we, our presence on, these meetings was almost 100%, which to me, it really brought our team together, and we got through it, and we got through the mucky waters. And now I'd like to say we're basking in the, like Turks and Caicos waters. Well, maybe that's being a little, it does. It really, really does. And that's one thing. I think it's really easy to give up. And I'd be lying to say if there weren't a couple times that I was ready to, hang that white flag. And I'm just being completely honest, as a franchisor, having the strength and the energy to, be that cheerleader and tell everybody it's going to be okay, when really I didn't have a crystal ball. But my team, my corporate team, we all pulled together. We got creative on different ways to keep engagement with our members. And we created an on-demand platform, which gave people the ability to exercise in their kitchens, their backyards, their living rooms, wherever that may be. We also created a subscription box, which was really, really awesome because we got to meet we based it on Canadian women entrepreneurs. So other Canadian women entrepreneurs during this time of struggle, we got to actually pull together and be creative and put everything, in this box. And I loved it. I love shopping. So it was like, people got to vicariously live through things that I really, really liked. So that was kind of fun.
That's all.
Although, like, the ability to watch these people's faces when these boxes arrived at their doors, and like the opening and the unveiling of these boxes was really amazing. And we really opened ourselves up to meet a whole new clientele base, a whole new demographic,
Amazing.
and introduce oxygen, because we had, our on-demand classes were part of some of the boxes, therefore getting people off the couch and up and healthy and active and trying to stay positive through physical fitness was a really key factor for me and what I wanted to share.
That's awesome. I love the pivot. That's super unique. I haven't heard that before. And I know how excited I get for my dog to open her bark box on a monthly basis. And that's not even for me. So I can only imagine when it's something full of goodies that you actually get to enjoy. I need to spoil myself a little bit more. I just learned a lesson for myself.
There you go. Well, the one thing though, you know what? It's funny because we actually have just stopped doing the box as of recent. And the reason being is because my primary focus does need to be on growing this business, right? And having support systems for the franchisees. So there was a bit of a shift, and I know it disappointed some people with the box. And it's not to say that we're not going to do like an annual surprise box, because I think it's a lot of fun. But I mean, it did take a lot of time and energy from my corporate team. So it's about restructuring and really identifying where time, energy, resources, finances are spent. And, it was kind of a bit of a difficult thing to announce that. But in the same breath, we have to take things full circle. And where we started was building this business from a one studio to a franchise opportunity, and circling back. Right.
Jen, I think we're pretty much out of time. If you want,
Okay.
I'm going to ask one more time, one question that I think speaks to everyone. When it comes to employees and hiring internally, I know in the States specifically, we've experienced a huge downfall in the quality and quantity of capable candidates, especially in boutique fitness. How has your brand combated this in the past, or what are you guys doing today to incentivize current employees to stay or to attract the right talent through your doors?
Well, I appreciate what you're saying. And I think it has been difficult to get some of our staff back, because people, during COVID, there was a lot of uncertainty with this industry. Therefore, they had no choice but to go and find other alternative sources of employment, right? Which is really, really unfortunate. We have raised the bar on just our pay scale. And we've created an opportunity for instructors not to come in just for one class, but for 2 or 3 classes, making it worthwhile for them. There's a lot of different incentive programs that we are doing right now, just to incentivize not only the franchisees, but the staff that they're working with, and the instructors that they're working with. We're providing a lot more workshops for the instructors, creating an opportunity for them to continue on improving their skill set. And we are also able to give them credits that they need in order to keep certified. So these are just different avenues that we've chosen to keep things tight, to keep things improving, growing, and recognizing how much we value them, as people who are within this organization. So there's so many different layers to the organization, just with any other business. And it's really being fair. And I like using this old saying, do to one as you wish done to yourself. And honestly, when you can do that, you're treating people with respect, loyalty, dignity, and embracing, just what you wish done to yourself.
Yep.
So, and I think it's super, super important. And we always need to have the ability to reflect and just be kind, like I think being kind and just understanding, sometimes people might misunderstand a message and might misinterpret something, but being able to just to take a breath rather than reacting and maybe re-ask that question in a different manner is usually a really helpful tool to maybe get a better response. Right?
I feel you. Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you for that. Building something that's custom to your brand that supports your team. I love hearing that.
Yes.
It's incredible. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
That wraps it up for this week's episode. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, Jen.
Thank you. And you know what? At the end of each class, I get everybody, and I'm going to get you to do this, make a heart and say, I love my life.
I do love my life.
Good. I love my life too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.